don't think so.
The story starts with an ex-prisoner named Kris. He has just been released and is secretly brought into Colombia by a shady truck driver. But once they reach a junkyard near the Colombian border, things go wrong. The driver pulls out a machete and demands more money, even though Kris has already paid him. Kris tries to talk his way out, but another thug shows up and demands everything he has.
I don't think so.
After a short fight, Kris steals the truck and escapes into the streets of Colombia. Later, he visits the grave of his ex-girlfriend on the edge of the city. Not long after that, he starts following a 15-year-old girl named Elisa. He watches her leave school and follows her all the way to her father's large, expensive mansion. Her father is Vicente, a brutal cartel boss with many people's blood on his hands. Vicente greets Elisa warmly, but his intentions are dark. He asks her to be available for his important guests at an upcoming party. Elisa agrees, and even says she will bring some of her friends. Meanwhile, in a quiet warehouse we meet El Corvo, a violent and unstable assassin. He carefully cleans his metal prosthetic arm and sharpens the hidden blade inside it. That night, he walks into a small cake shop. He says nothing and touches nothing. When the waitress politely asks him to leave, El Corvo pulls out the hidden knife and forces her to eat cake from its sharp edge. A female police officer rushes in and orders him to stop. El Corvo calmly walks out, but secretly hides in her patrol car. Moments later, when the officer and the frightened waitress get inside, Corvo rises from the back seat and kills them both without mercy. The next morning, Elisa is escorted to school by armed guards. Kris, dressed like a homeless man, breaks their car mirror to provoke a reaction. Elisa panics and tries to run down the road, but Kris jumps into the car, cuts her off, and tosses her into the trunk. He speeds off, leaving her stunned bodyguards behind. Word of Elisa's kidnapping reaches Vicente. Enraged, he savagely beats the two guards to death with his bare hands. Then, cold and composed, he orders a hit on the man who dared to touch his daughter. Meanwhile, Kris drives through the countryside with Elisa still locked in the trunk. At one point, he pulls over on the side of the road. When he lifts the lid, Elisa bursts out, swinging a tire iron and striking him before sprinting into the woods. Kris chases her down, begging her to stop. He shows her an old photo of himself, her mother, and Vicente together. He tells her they were once close and that before her mother died, she made him promise to take Elisa away if anything ever happened. Elisa doesn't buy it and demands proof. In a desperate attempt to earn her trust, Kris pulls out his gun, places it on the ground, and steps back, telling her to take it if it makes her feel safe. Elisa grabs the weapon and fires, testing if it's loaded. Then she turns it on him and demands to be taken home. When Kris refuses, she pulls the trigger, only to discover there was just one bullet. Kris soon realizes they're running low on gas, so he pulls into a small roadside station. As he steps out to fill the tank, Elisa sees her chance. She runs toward a group of local men playing football, screaming for help. The men assume Kris is some kind of predator and rush to stop him. "Come here, Elisa, Elisa!" Kris quickly fights them off and drags Elisa back to the vehicle, but this time, he ties her up. Elisa thrashes violently, kicking the seat and screaming.
"Hey, stop it! Don't kick me!"
That's when Kris drops a bombshell. He tells her he's actually her real father.
"I'm your father!"
Elisa freezes, stunned, and stares at him in disbelief. After a long pause, she quietly says she's hungry. Kris says nothing. He simply starts the car and drives off in search of food. What neither of them knows is that a bounty hunter is already tracking them. Meanwhile, back at Vicente's mansion, his right-hand man secretly places a call to El Corvo, telling him the girl has been taken. Later, Kris and Elisa stop at a small restaurant. Over a quiet meal, Kris explains everything: how he ended up in prison, how he believes Vicente murdered Elisa's mother, and why he had no choice but to come for her. Soon, a bounty hunter shows up, armed and hungry to cash in. Kris pretends to surrender, then strikes with lightning speed. In the chaos, the thugs grab Elisa and shoot out Kris's tires, leaving him stranded outside the restaurant. Furious, Kris unleashes a savage beating on the last thug, forcing him to reveal where they've taken her. Elisa is soon moved to a new hideout, owned by the old man. He calls Vicente and confirms his men will pick her up soon. But Elisa doesn't stay quiet. She confronts Vicente, accusing him of playing a role in her mother's murder. Before Vicente can respond, El Corvo storms the hideout. Kris arrives just in time to face Corvo in a brutal clash of fists against steel. As the fight rages, Elisa grabs a gun and fires, giving Kris a split-second advantage. She runs, but Corvo goes after her. Kris intervenes once again and smacks him down. The old man grabs a machine gun and tries to stop Corvo, but it's useless. Corvo slashes his throat with the hidden blade in his prosthetic arm. Just when all hope seems lost, Elisa returns behind the wheel and runs Corvo over. It's just enough to give her and Kris another shot at freedom. Kris plans to get her across the border into the US, but Elisa refuses to leave. Frustrated, she drives off alone in the truck, unaware that Corvo is following close behind. She pulls over to call Vicente, but Corvo catches up and corners her in an alley. In his most unsettling moment yet, he calmly offers her an apple and urges her to take a bite. Suddenly, Kris arrives. But Corvo now has a gun to Elisa's head, warning him to surrender or she dies. With no other choice, Kris gives himself up and is quickly restrained. Corvo vanishes with Elisa, leaving Kris helpless. The next morning, Vicente and his men find Kris hanging from a tree, left by Corvo as a message. They cut him down. Furious, Kris accuses Vicente of murdering Elisa's mother, prompting Vicente to punch him to the ground. Soon after, Corvo calls Vicente, reminding him of his betrayal. Vicente had tried to eliminate him after their last job together. Corvo gives him a location to meet if he wants his daughter back. In a shocking twist, Corvo reveals that Vicente's right-hand man was the one who told him everything. Vicente gets furious and shoots the traitor in the head right inside the car. He then admits that Corvo used to work for him, and that Corvo lost his arm during one of their missions. They arrive at an old factory where Elisa is chained to a huge crushing machine. Vicente refuses to give Kris a gun and tells him to stay back. Corvo kills Vicente's men without mercy and then takes Vicente hostage. He gives Vicente a cruel choice: cut off Elisa's hand to be like him, or let her die. As the machine slowly pulls Elisa closer, Kris rushes in to stop Corvo while Vicente struggles with the moving chain. Corvo stabs Kris in the stomach and mocks Vicente, forcing him to tell the truth. Vicente finally admits that he ordered Elisa's mother to be killed. Corvo says there is no time left to save Elisa, but Kris tells her to throw her diamond necklace into the chain. The machine jams and stops. Corvo charges at Elisa, trying to throw her in himself, but Kris tackles him. In a final act of redemption, Vicente cuts Corvo's throat with a saw and pushes him off the edge. Corvo grabs Vicente, and both men fall to their deaths. At the top of the factory, Elisa is safe. She walks over to Kris, who is badly injured but still alive, and hugs her father for the first time. This emotional father-daughter moment ends the movie. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.